I hopped into your DMs.
And I was like, do I really want to say this? And I mean, it just felt very romantic, like you were being romantic with yourself.
When people hear that you grew up in church, they think that you went every Sunday. But when you're a preacher's kid, you go to church every night of the week. And they don't want us to romanticize our life. They want us to struggle. They want us to be stressed out. You know,
we're still locked in.
Yeah,
but I'm judging you a little. You know, like you don't need anybody else to love you down. You can love yourself down.
Absolutely. If our thoughts create our reality, and our actions create our reality, then romanticizing your life is manifestation. In a world that often feels chaotic, romanticizing your life is an act of resistance. It's choosing to find beauty in the everyday. The way the sun hits your window, the feeling of your favorite song in your ears, or the simple joy of a cozy moment. Being the main character in your own story isn't about perfection. It's about embracing the magic in the little things. So why not make your life the story you deserve to live?
You're watching We Ain't Dying for This, a Black woman's guide to liberation, and I'm your host, Crystle Johnson. We are a community of Black women demanding our collective liberation through radically soft living. Each Thursday, we feature the stories of Black women who have set themselves free from the expectations of others and are choosing to live on their own terms.
Welcome to another episode of the We Ain't Dying for This podcast, a community of Black women demanding our collective liberation through radically soft living. I am your host, Crystle Johnson, and today I'm really excited to have a conversation with my friend, Eren Cooper, about romanticizing as liberation. And I know y'all are like, what does that mean exactly? But we're going to talk about it. So, Eren, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Yeah. So how do we meet each other? Tell everybody how we met each other.
So this is gonna sound. It's gonna sound how it's gonna sound. Mm-hmm. I hopped into your DMs, but it wasn't like that. So I was scrolling TikTok. I came across you on my For You page, and you were talking about, the first thing that I heard you say was that you created a life that you weren't happy with or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it kind of like,
oh, I remember that video. I recorded it in my cabin, and I was like, do I really want to say this? And I just posted it.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it, because it stopped me in my tracks, and it like made me pay attention. And I was like, okay. So I watched a few more videos, and you were talking about how you were on a journey of self-discovery, and you talked about how you were gonna take a solo trip to Mexico. And I said, oh, I'm going to Mexico on a solo trip.
Yeah.
And so that's when I sent you a message, and I was like, tell me more. Like, I wanna follow your journey. And
yeah. And then after that, like, we started talking about like Mexico, and then also about like the other trip I had gone on, because Mexico wasn't supposed to be a solo trip.
Right.
I was supposed to be there with a friend who wasn't able to come. And that actually prompted me to post that video that you saw, that you responded to, where I was like, yeah, so this wasn't supposed to be a solo trip, and now I'm solo, and I'm going to Mexico. So I'm glad that you reached out, because we talked a little bit about where I would be in Mexico, where it is that you were going to be, what my future plans were. And it was just really good to be able to share that with someone else privately. Because there are certain things that I may say out loud for people to hear, but then other things that I may not share. So, openly, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay. So after that, I went to your page and I saw how you romanticize your life. And I was just like, ooh, I love this so much, because I've never really seen anybody do it in that way. Because it's like, okay, well, I'm out.
What way is that?
I mean, it just felt very romantic, like you were being romantic with yourself. Mm-hmm. And I love that, because I think the first one I saw, I think it was like a Friday night in, and you like went and got wine, and you got food, and you just like romanticized it. It just looked so fun, or like something, not so fun, but it looked like something so fulfilling. And I love that. And I said, will you be on my podcast?
And I said, what? But I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate like following your journey. It's been really interesting. But yeah, romanticizing your life. You know, it's just all about finding the beauty in the little moments, like the most mundane moments, finding joy in that, and just being grateful for your life.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But before we jump into that,
Okay.
2 things. Who is Eren Cooper?
Okay.
And then also, we got some this or that questions. And a this or that question that will be a little controversial.
Okay. So Eren, I'll be honest with you, at 43, I'm still kind of figuring that out. What I can tell you is I'm an introvert. I'm a Leo. I'm Bahamian. Shout out to my 242 people. I'm a storyteller, whether that's like writing or documenting my journey on social media.
Yeah, romanticizing. It is very much a story.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's really who I am in a nutshell. I'm a avid music lover and collector of vinyls. I'm having fun with my life.
Yeah, I love that for you.
Thank you.
I love that. And we're just watching, enjoying it from the sidelines.
Yeah, the 200 followers.
Pretty sure you have more than 200 followers, but okay.
No. Hey, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because TikTok is getting banned, but you know, we won't talk about that.
Oh, do you follow that man on TikTok where he's like, put your hands up?
Put your hands up.
Yeah, like he was talking about Target initially, and then he started talking about Walmart, and then he started talking about TikTok. He was like, and another thing, TikTok.
I think
put
I have
your hands
seen
up.
That. I think I have seen that.
It is hilarious. And he's
man.
like, how y'all going, what you mean a ban? I just started getting my followers.
Exactly. You know, and that takes time, okay, to reach your audience.
Truly.
You know, and to find people who actually vibe with you, and you know, to be losing all of that. But anyway, we won't lose it. We're gonna find something else.
We're gonna build community elsewhere.
Absolutely.
For sure. Okay, so for these this or that questions, Issa Rae or Quinta Brunson?
That's really difficult. I mean, we watch both of their journeys from the start. You know, and they started from the bottom.
Yeah.
Now they're here. Both content creators. I'm gonna go with Issa.
Okay.
I love them both, but I have to go with Issa. I love the way she writes.
Yeah.
I just feel more of a connection with her. And people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I have not seen one episode of Abbott Elementary. I heard that it's amazing. Don't look at me like that.
The audible gasp. What?
I'm terrible. So you watch it?
I do watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I have missed some episodes in this latest season. I need to go back and watch.
Yeah, I heard it's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's so
need
good.
to just binge it, and I will at some point.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be great. I love Issa also. I just feel, like you said, she's very relatable. Whenever I send welcome emails to people who sign up for my mailing list or when they connect with me on LinkedIn, I send the Issa hey Jiffy because that's how much I love Issa. But they're both incredible in their own right, for sure. Yeah. So my second question is not the controversial one, but we'll save that for last. So R&B brunch or gospel brunch?
This is actually pretty controversial for me because I am a preacher's kid.
I didn't know that.
Really?
No, I don't think you told me that.
You know, and when people hear that you grew up in church, they think that you went every Sunday. But when you're a preacher's kid, you go to church every night of the week. And so that was my life. And so, you know, it's still, I'm distancing myself a little bit from that now. But, you know, it's still very near and dear to my heart. But I still have to go with R&B.
Okay.
R&B brunch all day. I'm a 90s R&B nigga. All day.
I love that 90s R&B for sure.
Gosh.
Yeah, definitely.
If you ever ride with me, like that's all you're gonna hear in my car. I'm sorry.
No, I love that because half the things that be on the radio, I'm like, what are you saying?
Skip me.
First of all, I can't understand what you're saying. Secondly, none of it's making any sense. So yeah, 90s R&B me for sure.
Yes.
Okay, now for the controversy.
I'm ready.
Pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie?
It's pumpkin pie for me. All day. All day. I love them both. But I just feel like pumpkin pie, first of all, it's so much creamier. It's richer. I mean, I feel like sweet potato is just all sweet.
I'm judging you.
I know, but
I'm judging you. And sweet potatoes are not originally sweet. It just depends on who's making the sweet potato pie.
how about this? When it's fall season, you can go anywhere and find pumpkin lattes, pumpkin bread,
So
pumpkin everything.
Are you?
Can you find that with sweet potato?
Are you the basic person who goes to Starbucks and gets a pumpkin spice latte?
Yes,
That's you.
that's me. But it's good. Like it's good.
Okay.
With
I
oat
hear
milk.
you. Okay. I'm judging you a little. But what I will say is that they do have these Little Debbie cakes that I really love. They're like pumpkins and they come out during the fall. Yes. I do eat those. They are pretty delicious, but it's not the same as pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin me all day. Everything.
No, sweet potato pie me.
Okay.
I can't.
No problem. It's cool.
No, we're going to have to make you some sweet potato pie from somebody's grandmama or mama.
I've had it and it's delicious. Recipe. If you ask me which is better, I have to go with pumpkin. And I think it's also cultural too because, growing up in the Bahamas, I never really had sweet potato pie until I made it to the States.
Okay.
It was just all pumpkin pie.
Okay.
So
I'm judging you a little, but
it's okay.
Yeah. We're still locked in.
Yeah.
But I'm judging you a little.
Okay.
And that's fine. Yeah, for sure. So, about romanticizing. What lies do we tell ourselves about romanticizing our lives?
I think the biggest lie we tell ourselves about it is that you're living in a fantasy. It's not real. But what I like to say is that if our thoughts create our reality and our actions create our reality, then romanticizing your life is manifestation.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So it's very much real. And then the other side of that is romanticizing your life is so much about living in the moment. It's so much about like appreciating the little moments, like being in that moment instead of rushing off to your next meeting, instead of, going to your next appointment. It's like taking a moment to like look at the sunrise. You know what I mean? Like appreciate that cup of coffee that you're drinking, like taste it. There's nothing more real than that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I love that. I think that you create for you. And I think sometimes people might believe that, like you actually staged this moment for other people to see.
You're fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you're actually creating for yourself so you can look back at it and say, man, I had a great night. Or that sunrise or that sunset was amazing. That meal was fire.
Yes. And it's beautiful. It's finding poetry in the most mundane aspects of life.
How long have you been romanticizing your life, and how has it transformed you?
I'd say I've been doing it really all my life. I've always been a very romantic person. Even as a kid, I'd say it started with my grandmother. Actually, I lost her when I was 15, so I definitely didn't get enough time with her. One thing I remember about her is she always had a camera in her hand. She was always taking photos, but it wasn't the posed photos. My mom, her daughter, she's all about just being presentable and, posing. But my grandmother, she loved those candid moments. She loved finding beauty in like moments where you're not even thinking about it. And I think I adopted that from her. And so I became like my family's, documentarian. They sometimes get on me about, why do you always have your phone in your hand, Why is that? And I'm like, but then they'll call me and they'll be like, do you have a photo of what we did October 2018? Yes, I do have that photo. So that's where I began. But I think when I really started paying attention to romanticizing my life was when I found myself single in my 40s again. I'm a very romantic person in relationships. Like I will romance you down, right? And then when there's nobody left but you, like what do you do?
Yeah.
Romanticize yourself. Romance yourself.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started paying attention to like what is it that Eren loves? What is it that because I know what we love to do.
Let me tell you.
I know what we like, What is Eren like?
Yeah,
what brings me joy?
That's such a huge thing. Yeah, totally. I can definitely resonate and relate to that because every relationship that I've ever been in, it's always been about like, what do we want to do? And mostly it's about what does she want to do? And then, I just find my way in there. Yeah. So because I've been a people pleaser, like I'm an overachiever, people pleaser, perfectionist, recovering, of course. But yeah, like everything's always been about other people and not necessarily about me. So I think it's perfect. Like it's a perfect lesson or exercise, I guess is a better way to put it. The perfect exercise in learning to love on yourself and learning to discover yourself and learning to put yourself first.
Absolutely. And, I talked about my background and being a preacher's kid and then, realizing that I'm queer, realizing that I'm different from everybody else in my family. And so I had to learn early that, that radical self-love, and that's really important. And you asked how it romanticizing my life has transformed my life. I've connected with myself so much in the past few years, like, I'm going to get emotional. Yeah, just discovering who I am. And it's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
And you said radical self-love. That like hit me for sure. Like I had chills because it's like, if you don't love yourself, who else is going to, Like you don't need anybody else to love you down. You can love yourself down.
Absolutely. And then when you, and not that you have to be single to romanticize your life. You don't have to be. But I'm telling you, as someone who is, when I get into another relationship, it's going to be so different than I have been in the past. You know what I mean? Because I know now who I am, what I want, what makes me happy, what brings me joy. And that can only help the both of us.
Exactly. And you don't have to depend on that other person to give you meaning, to assign value and worth to you because you're already
and I'm going to teach you how to do it too.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Right.
I love that.
Sure.
So I think romanticizing, as we talked about, is a new concept for people. And I think we talked about the lies that we tell ourselves. So if there is a Black woman who is listening, who is considering what romanticizing looks like for her, where is it that she starts? Like, what tips would you give her to begin romanticizing her life?
I think the first thing is to define what romanticizing your life means for you, because it might mean something different. So that's the first thing. And then start small and stay consistent.
Yeah.
I'd say start with your 5 senses, right? When you wake up in the morning, what do you see? Do you see the sunrise? You smell the aroma of that coffee. You put on a soft robe. When you feel those sensory experiences, it really connects you back to yourself. I'd start there. Your self-care routine, spend an extra few minutes, on your skincare or your hair, or, put some eucalyptus in that shower, take a long shower, take a bath, those small little things, like you'll be surprised at how much they change like your outlook on your whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know anybody who can create beautiful videos like yours.
Oh my goodness. So. Wow.
The videos are great. They're really awesome. So what do you think about journaling as like romanticizing? So whether that's like, because there's this new app on the iPhone where it's a journal and you can actually speak into it, or you can type or whatever. And I enjoy just speaking into the journal app, but I've never spoken into it in a way where I was romanticizing like how my day went. I'm usually responding to a prompt because I use this app called Balance, and it's what I use to like meditate. So when I wake up in the morning, there's like a wake up meditation, and then there's a prompt, and I just answer the prompt. But if you had to tell me how to romanticize my life on the journal app, what would you say?
Well, I mean, that's great. Like, part of romanticizing is documenting the journey. That's social media, but it could just be journaling. That's really critical. It's, you said you follow prompts, and that's okay. But also, I would say to write down a moment that brought you joy that day. Whether it was like incredibly small, like you had a really good burger, or, you listened to a really great song. Something that small, just write it down. And so that in the moments when you don't feel that joy, you can go back to that page and like, oh yeah, let me put that song on again. Let me go order from that restaurant. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I love that, because I think sometimes when things happen during the day, we forget about all the good things that happened during the day. Somebody cut us off in traffic. Somebody pissed you off for whatever reason.
Right.
And then you just forget about all the good things that have happened during the day. So I think that is a perfect way to really go back and reconsider like how blessed you are or how good the day has been to you, without allowing whatever the negative things are to 100%. Really take over the day.
100%. It's a way to really, like you said, like have that gratitude. That person cut you off in traffic, but it could have been worse, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that could have had a much different outcome. Yeah. So it's about being grateful for your life and what you have, and again, finding the joy.
Yeah. I mean, you always come through with the positivity.
I tried.
I was running so late today. Mm-hmm. I miscalculated time. I was like, Eren. Yeah. I miscalculated the time. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to be late. Yeah. And you were like, it's fine. You'll get there. You prepared.
Also, right. We were grateful that you weren't coming yesterday when we had like torrential rain in Houston. Yeah. So that was something to be grateful about. And I reminded you of that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Yeah. You always literally come through with positivity. And I appreciate that, because otherwise I would spiral. And we don't want that.
We don't. Because, you do so much, and, what you do is so important. Like just this podcast that you're doing, we need you. So don't spiral.
Thank you.
Stay with us.
Thank you, Eren. I will try my best. So what I learned from you today about romanticizing my life is that, one, it's important. Doesn't have to be videos, because, again, you create very beautiful videos.
Thank you.
It can be journaling. Whether that's verbal journaling or journaling
digital
in a notebook. Yeah, like you can do either thing. That I should focus on the moments of joy.
Yep.
And it could be anything. It could be the most mundane things to romanticize. It doesn't have to be anything huge or expansive or, something wild. It could be anything. It could be, I had a good burger, like you said, or
Absolutely.
I met up with this friend earlier today, or I had a real good nap, because, we love naps.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Some people do. Yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. But, I mean, when we think about romanticizing as liberation, I mean, they don't want us to romanticize our life. They want us to struggle. They want us to be stressed out, so it's kind of like an act of just resistance. It's really fighting those systemic obstacles by just creating luxury and joy and happiness.
Yeah, with
everything going on around us.
Yeah, with everything going on around us. I love that so much. It really is resistance, because I don't want to be stressed.
No.
And sometimes we get so distracted that is the thing that we focus on. If we can focus on the good things that are happening in our lives, the joy in our lives, that is definitely resistance. And it's a form of experiencing liberation, for sure.
100%.
So where can the people find you online and watch your romanticizing videos?
I'm Eren Cooper on TikTok. You Write the Script on Instagram. Eren Cooper everywhere. My name is Eren, so you can find me easily. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I have really enjoyed our conversation, because romanticizing, I think, is something different for a lot of people to hear and talk about, because I think we often think about liberation in very big ways, and this is something that you can do simply with yourself. You don't need another person. You can really dive into the things that bring you joy, that are happening in your life every day.
Take yourself on a date.
Yes.
Go on a solo date. Enjoy yourself.
Exactly, because you don't need anybody else. We love community. We need community for sure.
That's important.
Yes. That's important. And you have to be okay with being with yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode about romanticizing as liberation. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of We Ain't Dying for This, a Black woman's guide to liberation. Catch up on previous episodes on the Living Corporate Network and on YouTube. You're also invited to join our exclusive community for access to early episode releases, exclusive content, live events, and more.